Today I'm gonna compare texture paste from GW range and from AK Interactive range and see which one is more worth it at its price point. Starting with the cheaper AK Interactive, the range of texture paints has 13 types, coming in 250 milliliter pots with the screw cap and coming to a price of $10. So the full range would cost $130. Good math, huh? Citadel, on the other hand, has 12 different types of textures. They come in the classical GW pots containing 24 milliliter of product to a price of $7. For the sake of a comparison, I'm gonna use my big mathematical brain to calculate what the price would be if the GW pots would contain 250 milliliters of product instead of just 24. In this case, we are along $60. I just multiplied for 10. Shh, my secret. And for the full range, the actual true price would be $84 for 12 pots. With the added products, it would come to a price of, are you ready? $840. Yeah, for 12 texture paints. Whew. We are just so lucky that they don't actually exist, right? I personally own just 2 of them, one from the Citadel range and one from the AK Interactive range. I'm not gonna buy $200 worth of texture paste just for the sake of this video because I am not monetized. So like this video, please. So I'm gonna apply the texture paste on some bases, testing the following things. Number 1, application with the knife palette. Number 2, application with the brush. And number 3, painting. There would be so many other things that I could do with this texture paste, diorama or base building. The video would be too long and too complicated, so. Palette knife. Starting with the palette knife, I start applying astrogranite on my base. And then I do the exact same thing with the muddy mud from AK Interactive. Comparison. After 1 hour, muddy mud was pretty much dried, whether the Citadel one still needed a few minutes. The feeling of the texture is very similar between the AK Interactive and Citadel, although the muddy mud from AK Interactive is slightly more rough. It kind of feels like sandpaper, and that would make me assume that in the painting process, this AK Interactive product will take better the dry brush. Now I apply the products using a brush. First, astrogranite from Citadel and then muddy mud. Actually, it's called muddy earth. It's called dark earth. Oops. I am honestly not a big fan of this technique because I feel like it doesn't leave enough texture on the base. It feels like just coloring the base, so it gives you the illusion that it's doing something when it's not really. Comparison. Like in the other case, it took around 1 hour for them to dry off completely, maybe a little bit less because they're more watery and less pasty, so that means they dry a little bit faster than the other ones. Somehow, astrogranite from Citadel looks kind of glossy, which annoys me a little bit. Like I said before, I'm not really a fan of this technique because it doesn't leave enough texture. I can still see some of the texture of the base itself instead. But the pros of using this technique is that you use less product, which if you're using GW products, that might be a good thing for your wallet. Painting. Now I'm gonna go in with some dry brush of gray on the astrogranite from Citadel and brown sand for the muddy mud. Comparison. Like I predicted, the muddy mud applied with the palette knife takes a lot better the dry brush because it's more rough, it has a sandpaper-like texture, and even the one applied with a brush, even though I can see the texture of the base underneath the paste, which is not good, but still it has more texture than the Citadel one. The difference between the 2 ways of application is very, very noticeable. I would personally suggest you to use the palette knife and use more product because it's worth it for the result you get. One other thing is that the astrogranite applied with a brush has this annoying glossiness, which I hate. I hate all things glossy. I hate it. So what is the verdict then? First off, let's address the elephant in the room we didn't talk about yet. The price. For $3 more, you get 10 times more product with AK Interactive. 10 times more. And that's a lot of texture paste. But there is always a but. There are pros and cons to this, like in everything. If you are a big army painter, a commission painter, a big terrain builder, or diorama builder, AK Interactive is for you because you get more product for less money. But if you're mostly painting single figures, or you paint display, or you paint for just the sake of painting, you're more on the side of painting single figures, maybe getting a big pot of paste like this might not be really worth it. This is because, notice, the AK Interactive paste, after a while, these pots will tend to dry out. It's already happening with this one. And sure, you can add water and stir it around and make it good again, but that's a lot of work. Come on! When the GW one, it's almost empty, but I can still apply it without even having to so in that case a more manageable quantity would be better, even if on the long run it's not very cost effective. So that's my 2 cents. If you want to watch more, watch more. If you don't, goodbye, and subscribe and bye.